Good evening, friends. Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Blessings to all of you on this Saturday evening. I hope you've been having a great weekend. We're going to have a great time here tonight. As we always do, every night at 9 p.m., we invite all of you to join us as regularly as you can. And yeah, it's great. It's a great time. Boy, we have an important 3.5 weeks coming up until Election Day. It's 3 weeks from Tuesday, and we are going to keep America great. I know that's what you are committed to doing as well as I. I'm going to show you, first I'm going to show you the Democrat Party platform in visual form, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I'm going to give you, most importantly tonight, some tools to help you, not only to help you to vote in an informed way, but to pass along to others, because that's what it's all about now. Voter-to-voter contact, getting out the vote, reaching as many like-minded people as we can, and doing it urgently. Put off everything that you can possibly put off until after Election Day and zero in on this, because, friends, everything's at stake. Everything. So, but let's start with prayer. I wrote a book called Pro-Life Reflections for Every Day. I hope you all have a copy. If not, you can get it at prolifereflectionsforeveryday.com. But let's see what the reflection is for today. From the Gospel of Life, which is a beautiful encyclical by St. John Paul II, he wrote, "Physicians and healthcare workers are also responsible when the skills they acquire to promote life are placed at the service of death." Reflection. Pro-abortion politicians will often say to us, legislators should not be practicing medicine. But we're not asking them to practice medicine, but to prevent the abuse of medicine. Medicine is for the purpose of preserving life. Abortion takes life. There is no disease that abortion cures, and abortion has no proven medical benefit. Let us pray. Lord, may all doctors practice medicine to preserve human life. Amen. So once again, Pro-Life Reflections for Everyday.com is where you can get this book. I'll be happy to personalize it for you. What's the Democrat Party platform? Take a look at this. It's disturbing, it's astonishing, it's profoundly immoral. It is the killing of a baby. This is a D&E abortion, dilation and evacuation, of a baby at 23 weeks. Now, some people might say, and certainly a lot of the Democrats try to make you think that abortions don't happen at that point in time. First of all, they do. And I'll show you where you can even listen to some phone calls of people who are making appointments to have abortions at that stage of pregnancy. They'll try to tell you, well, it only happens for serious medical problems of the baby or the mother. That, again, is not true. And finally, they'll say, well, but it doesn't happen in the very latest weeks of pregnancy. Well, our argument is not how much it happens. That's what they're bringing up. Our argument is, should it be legal? I mean, that's like saying, okay, let's legalize, let's legalize the laying of an infant on train tracks. But it doesn't happen in America, so we don't have to worry about that. We certainly do have to worry about the moral character of our nation if we're going to permit a wicked action like that. So let's take a look at this. They got a baby in the womb at 23 weeks, and these babies have a very good chance of survival if they were born alive, but that's not even the point either. They are in the womb for a reason, as they need the protection of the womb. And the body parts are grasped with a long tooth clamp. Okay, the abortionist forceps, very sharp teeth, grasps the leg, for instance, and, as you see in this frame here, literally pulls it off. The leg, the other leg, the other arm, pulls them out through the birth canal, piece by piece. This procedure of dismemberment abortion is described in the medical textbooks on abortion. It's described by courts where there's been testimony about it. It's happening in America. It's happening. We have the medical textbooks, court testimony, and in fact the advertisements for abortion to prove it. Then here you see the torso and the intestines and the rest of the body literally just being pulled out piece by piece. By the way, when this procedure is started, this baby is alive. Now, of course, they can do a procedure where they kill the baby with poison into the baby's heart, but that is by no means the way that it is always done. These procedures are in fact done with the baby being alive. And then the final part of the procedure is that a nip is made in the skull, piece of the skull is taken out, the skull collapses, and the skull is removed piece by piece with the brain matter flowing out as well. Now, I put up here the Democrat Party platform. Friends, we have to understand, and we have to help our fellow citizens understand, that as far as Joe Biden is concerned, as far as the Democrat Party is concerned, as far as Kamala Harris is concerned, as far as all the Democrat United States senators that are running for the Senate on the Democrat ticket, okay, with literally one or two exceptions. The Democrat governors, again, one or two exceptions. Democrat state legislators, the whole party, look at the platform of the party, the whole party has been infected with the idea that this is okay. They call it reproductive justice. They want this to continue to be legal, and Joe Biden and the Democrat Party platform says we should get rid of the Hyde Amendment, which is a provision in the law that prevents your taxpayer money and mine that flows into the Medicaid program from going for abortion. They want to get rid of that. In other words, they want our tax money funding this. Look, there are many issues in every election. We all understand that. In fact, we discuss the many different issues here on this program. But just on this issue alone, the Democrats should be disqualified from consideration. President Trump has called upon Congress very clearly, stop this. Congress has to stop it. They're the ones that make the laws. The president has put protections in place by executive action for the consciences of doctors and nurses and medical students that don't want to be involved in this because they're often pressured to be involved. President Trump has put a protection on that because there are laws that protect their conscience and their objection to taking part in this, and the president has stepped in to enforce those laws. In fact, he even created a new office in the federal government to protect the consciences of doctors, nurses, and medical students that don't want to do this kind of thing. But as far as the Democrats are concerned, this is something to be celebrated. This is something that's part of freedom. And I would not dare, do anything to take away a woman's reproductive choice. That's how Biden defends this. This is indefensible. This by itself should disqualify them from consideration for public office. As I always say, if a politician can't respect the life of a little baby, how's he supposed to respect yours? Kamala Harris, when she was the Attorney General in California, and when she was a prosecutor, she took action against David Daleiden, one of our colleagues in the pro-life movement, who as an investigative journalist exposed this kind of activity in the various Planned Parenthoods and other abortion facilities around the country. It had been exposed before as well, but he brought more attention to it, and she, Kamala Harris, instead of punishing the people who were doing this, punished David for exposing this. This is the kind of mentality these people have. Now, if you saw the vice presidential debate the other night, which Vice President Pence, by all consensus, won that debate, he brought this up. If you see that part of the debate, if you go back and watch, he said, you and your party stand for late-term abortion, ripping the baby apart even in the latest stages of pregnancy. We're not making this up. Let me put two things on the board. Abortion Practice is the name of a medical textbook. There are various ones. By Warren Hearn. He's an abortionist in Boulder, Colorado. Look it up. Buy a copy of the book for yourself. You can buy it. It's in public circulation. I have a copy. And read. The words that the medical textbook uses for this, which are very appropriate, are dismember and decapitate. When you talk to a Democrat who is in office or seeking your vote for public office, ask them about abortion. And I recommend this question. In fact, I would recommend this as a debate question in some of these debate formats. Joe Biden should be asked this question in the presidential debate that he doesn't want to participate in, by the way. President Trump wants to have more debates, not less. Biden, they're just looking for excuses not to have debates. But here's the question I think should be asked. Sir, the medical textbooks on abortion use the words dismember and decapitate to describe the procedure. You have said that you're in favor of keeping abortion legal and that taxpayer dollars should even fund it. But when you say the word abortion, is that what you mean? Do you mean the same thing that the medical textbook means when it says dismember and decapitate? Now, isn't that a fair question? It's not a trick question. We're trying to understand what they mean by the word, because when they say the word, they never say decapitation. They never say dismemberment. In fact, they never say anything about arms and legs and skulls and pieces of the skull being ripped out. They never talk in that language. The Republican challengers, President Donald Trump, talks in that language because that's the accurate language to describe what an abortion is. But the Democrats don't use that kind of language. Check it out. Put all their speeches together. You'll never see them use the word blood or bones or arms or legs. They don't want to tell you, they don't want to tell the voters what these procedures actually are. See, that's a dishonesty that doesn't belong in public office. That's dishonesty. They want us to pay for something that they're not even willing to describe. They want to defend something that they're not even willing to describe. And if you ask them the question, medical textbook calls it dismemberment and decapitation, is that what you mean by abortion? They won't answer you. And we're going to elect them to the highest office in the land? I don't think so. Ask your congressional representative, the one who's asking to be your congressional representative. If it's a Democrat who's already in office or a Democrat who's seeking to replace a Republican, they're in favor of this. This by itself should disqualify someone from public office. The other thing I want to show you, besides this medical textbook, which you can get and read, is a website called Expose, one of our many websites, Expose Abortion, because that's what we're doing right here, .net. And at exposeabortion.net, you'll hear some phone calls that we placed. We had a young woman place some phone calls to legal abortion facilities across the country. And she posed as a pregnant mother, healthy, carrying a healthy baby, And you'll hear several different calls. She said at one point, I'm 24 weeks pregnant, I'm 26, I'm 28, I'm 30 weeks pregnant. Even when she says she was 30 weeks pregnant, listen to this. She said she was healthy. She said the baby was healthy, 30 weeks pregnant, and they still scheduled the abortion. That's what we have to ask Kamala Harris. That's what we have to ask Joe Biden. That's what you have to ask your Democrat candidate for U.S. Senate, your Democrat candidate for U.S. House of Representatives, your Democrat candidate for governor, your Democrat state legislator. Why am I not saying Republican? Because they're pro-life. Right across the board, they're fighting against this. Democrats, I don't know what's wrong with them. You tell me. You find out. Let's find out. They've got to tell it. They've got to explain themselves. That's what they never do. They don't explain themselves. This is beyond words, brothers and sisters. It really is. They can put an end to this. Congress can pass a law to stop this. In fact, there is a bill that has already been introduced. It's already been voted on. In fact, I'm going to show you later on how you can find out how your particular member of Congress voted on it, but I'll tell you how they voted right now. The Republicans voted to stop this, and the Democrats voted for this to continue. But legislation has been introduced to put an end to this. And the Democrats vote against it. Wow. All right, well, that's the platform. The Democrats, go ahead and be proud of it. You know, those people that jump around and say, vote blue. Maybe the colors that represent the parties ought to swap, because this looks pretty red to me. The color of blood. But vote blue, they say. Vote Biden. Oh, yeah. When's the last time they thought about this? When's the last time they looked at this? And they get their friends together. Oh, yeah, we got to vote Democrat. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah? Well, when's the last time you looked at this? I don't know, friends. We got to do something about this. And it all comes down to you and me speaking up as strongly as possible. Okay, let's switch over here to the seat. I want to announce some things to you. And then we're going to start showing you some websites here that are going to help you vote in an informed way. Monday, not tomorrow, but Monday, the 12th, Columbus Day, I'm going to be with the president here in Florida. He's going to be about an hour away from here. It's where he was supposed to be on October 2nd, but then, of course, that morning we heard that he had tested positive for the virus. But look at this, just a little bit more than a week later, he is back. And his doctors have cleared him to do this, healthy, safe, to interact in public. And he is going to be here in Florida doing a rally. I'm going to be there. In fact, I'm going to help give the coverage for it. You'll see it broadcast right here through the feed that comes from Right Side Broadcasting Network. Do some of you watch RSBN, Right Side Broadcasting? They are a great group of people. Maybe some of them are watch. I know sometimes they watch our broadcast like we watch theirs. And I'll be joining them as a guest commentator. We'll be talking before and after the president speaks, and we'll be giving you a lot of reflection. Of course, if you watch me here every night, you'll hear me say on Right Side Broadcasting some of the same things that I'm saying now. But that's going to be fun, Monday night. And let's see. Oh, somebody was asking about the organs of these babies. Yes, Sally, good question. Why do they harvest their organs? I hate asking, but I don't understand why. To make money. It's illegal to sell the body parts, but as has been revealed, and I was involved in a project of exposing this together with Life Dynamics back in the late 1990s into 2000. So going back 20 years or more than 20 years, we had we have the order forms. We have order forms for universities that do research. They on the order form it says brain, give me a brain, give me a heart, give me the arms, give me the legs, give me the pelvis, give me the liver. We have order forms that have the these body parts indicated on them, and they use it for research. So the abortion facilities will be paid a site fee, as it's called. The collector of the brains and the hearts and the arms and legs will come there to the abortion clinic and collect these things. Technically, the law says you can't sell a heart or a brain, but or other body parts, but they get around that and they make their money anyway. So that's what's going on with that. But going back to the rallies, so there'll be one Monday night in the Sanford Airport here in Florida. And then there's going to be another one on Tuesday night in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Tuesday night rally. It's going to be on 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be showing that to you as well. And 7 p.m. Eastern Time, but then I'm going to come on after the rally at about I'm going to come on from my usual 9 o'clock because we have to keep talking as well and getting ready for this election and, again, training ourselves to reach more and more voters to get them ready too. And then Wednesday there's going to be another rally, and this one's going to be in Iowa, in Des Moines. Similarly, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be 6 p.m. for our friends there in Iowa. Look at what's happening. President is getting right back on the campaign trail, just like we said the other day that he would. God bless him. He is fighting for you. He is fighting for us. He is fighting for our faith, the freedom to express our faith, the freedom to live our faith. As I have often said, we wouldn't be here if he wasn't where he is, because he saved us from this so-called HHS mandate, this Obama-Biden regulation that was forcing us, or trying to force us, to include early abortions in our health insurance plans that we offer to our employees. And we said, no, we're not going to do that. Our organization exists to fight abortion. We believe it's immoral for us to cooperate in somebody else getting an abortion. And the Obama administration, Obama-Biden, were saying, oh, you have to do it anyway. Don't worry about your faith. Well, you can't say don't worry about your faith. And this guy, Biden, presents himself as a devout Catholic. It's a disgrace. He wants to reimpose it. We got an exemption from it from President Trump. He settled the matter. We fought it all the way to the Supreme Court. And listen, you've heard about this. It's not just about the Little Sisters of the Poor. And they're the ones that are, this has sort of become like a shorthand to refer to this particular problem by saying, oh, the government was forcing the Little Sisters of the Poor to do this, to include early abortion and contraception in their health insurance plans. Yeah, but they were one of hundreds of other groups and employers and ministries and churches and dioceses, and it wasn't just the Little Sisters of the Poor, because I'm afraid what happens is people hear that and they say, oh, well, isn't that ridiculous? That's silly. But, Little Sisters of the Poor, that's not me. Well, that's right. But this is you. If you're an employer, chances are you're under the obligation of this mandate as well. There were some exemptions, but relatively few. This affected practically every employer in America, including Christians who have deep moral objections to this kind of stuff. I tell you, we have to wake up and see what's going on. And then Biden says, oh, we're going to put it back the way it was. We're going to undo what President Trump did in exempting us, ministries like ours, from having to obey this mandate. Well, we can't obey this mandate. And they're going to, in other words, Biden is saying, all you Catholics out there, and I'm a devout Catholic, he says, all you Catholics out there, I'm going to force you to violate your faith. Yeah, but you see, he's saying that it's his faith too, so how can he say that? See, this to me doesn't make sense. If any of you out there, and every once in a while, because they have nothing better to do, some of the Biden supporters come on here because, he's not doing all these rallies and these broadcasts and whatnot. He's still in his basement. But So every once in a while, the Biden supporters will come on here. But I've never heard them answer this question. I mean, how can the man be, he's not credible. How can he claim to be a devout Catholic and turn around in the same breath and say to Catholics, I'm going to force you to violate your faith, the faith you fought all the way to the Supreme Court to defend your right to live, but I'm going to try to force you again. We've been through this already. See, this is the incredible thing. It would be bad enough if he said he was going to do that. But we've been through this since 2012. All these cases, including ours. Ours was the second case to get up to the Supreme Court. We went through the whole court system. And EWTN was involved in fighting this, and the Catholic University of America, the Diocese of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Any of you out there from the Pittsburgh area? The Diocese of Erie, Pennsylvania. Do we have any viewers tonight from there? You guys, your diocese, the Archdiocese of Washington, were involved in these lawsuits going all the way to the Supreme Court against the very same provision, the very same regulation that Biden now says, we're going to put it back. I don't understand. This thing I showed you earlier about abortion, that by itself should be enough to convince people not to vote for these Democrats. But now you add on top of that what I'm just saying now. Does it make any sense to any of you? I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. But here's Biden, he's presenting himself as a Catholic, and he's saying to Catholics, I'm going to force you to violate your faith. Unbelievable. It's just so unbelievable. Incredible. Jesse's asking an important question. What happened to Planned Parenthood being investigated for selling the body parts? The investigation is ongoing. And those who are doing the investigations can't comment on ongoing investigations. So I would say let's be patient. We will hear more about it as they conclude their investigations. Robert, yes, you're right. It was more than just Catholic ministry. Oh, absolutely. We were joined hand in hand with ministries of various other Christian denominations, and not even just Christians. Everybody was affected by this. There were people who were coming forward to challenge this mandate who said, we're not objecting under any religious grounds. We just have moral objections, from human reason, and that abortion is wrong. And so, and they were part of it. They were part of it as well. So yes, again, the mandate covered practically every employer in America. So. Wow. Mary, thanks for that suggestion, encouraging people to share this broadcast to at least 3 pages, groups, or friends. My friends, we rely on you to reach people that we can't reach by ourselves. And that's how we're going to win this election. Together, we have a grassroots movement. This is not just a campaign that our president is running. It's a movement. And he has said that many times. And you're part of this movement. It's a movement. And the more we can... you'll all help each other spread this to others, the better. Walter is asking a good question. Can your medical drawings be shown in a TV commercial, or will liberal media prevent the showing of it? They will usually prevent. They will usually not want to show this, even if we offer them the requisite money. However, the one way around that is if a political candidate shows it as part of a political ad, then they have more leverage and more leeway the way that the rules are written. And at that point, it just requires politicians who are willing to do that. Some have done it over the years, but they're few and far between, unfortunately. And but that's the way that sometimes these things do get shown on some of the outlets. Well, my friends, should we take this other question every once in a while? As those of you that join me every day, you're very patient, and I try to be patient as well. But in every program, we get, I mean, in some ways you got to laugh at it. We get the question of why a priest is talking about politics. Of course, nobody's, putting a gun to anybody's head to watch in the first place. But listen, this idea that we in the clergy should not talk about politics leads to godless politics. Think about this again, what I'm saying. If people who are in charge of or responsible for teaching the things of God and morality, because you do agree that that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? We are ordained to preach the gospel. We're supposed to be teaching the things of God and morality, right? Well, let's put Andy. I like that comment, Andy. We'll put that on. I'll comment on that in just a moment after we deal with Dan's comment. So if we're supposed to teach, what are we supposed to teach? Let's just put the politics aside. What are we supposed to teach as priests? We're supposed to teach the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. We're supposed to teach people how to live that gospel. Am I right? Proclaim the gospel to all the nations. Teach them to carry out everything I have commanded you. Take up your cross and follow me. Be my disciple in your daily life. Be like Jesus. Be holy. Let the Holy Spirit work through you. Let the Holy Spirit enlighten you as to what is good and what is evil, and choose what is good and resist what is evil. And the whole Sermon on the Mount, isn't Jesus teaching us how to live? Right? I mean, is that what we're supposed to be teaching? Or are we not on the same page about what a priest is supposed to do? So if we agree that that's what a priest is supposed to do, then the question becomes, does right and wrong, does what is good and what is bad, does what God wants and what he doesn't want, what his will is and what his will isn't, what leads us to heaven, what leads us to hell, what is according to the law of God and for the good of others and the love of neighbor, politics has nothing to do with that? So in other words, Jesus is Lord of your life. That's what we're supposed to be teaching and preaching, right? Jesus is Lord of your life. So you need to follow him in all your decisions, except in politics. In politics, it doesn't matter what's right and wrong. You could do as much bad as you want. 10 Commandments don't apply. Gospel of Jesus doesn't apply. The Holy Spirit doesn't work there. God doesn't have a way of good and a way of evil there. It has nothing to do with the rights of other people. It has nothing to do with helping your neighbor or loving your neighbor. It has nothing to do with any of that. Right? Right? Has nothing to do. In politics, Jesus is not Lord. You see? You see why we have to talk about politics? Not to mention that little thing called freedom of speech. I mean, we don't throw away our rights to engage in the political process. I'm a citizen too. And I vote. Am I not supposed to vote? Well, it's a priest getting involved in politics. Don't vote. Come on. We have to talk about these things to give people the guidance that frankly they want and that they deserve. The church is not a political party. But religion and politics do intersect. Religion says a lot into politics in terms of morality. And thank you for that nice comment. I was losing faith in the Catholic Church, but you have given me hope. You know, it is sad, and I understand where you're coming from, because too many of my brother priests are silent about these things. That's because they're following Dan's advice. This is the problem. You see, Dan, this is a good answer to you. This is a better answer to your question than I was giving. People get discouraged because they don't hear their church talking about the things of daily life. Politics is part of our daily life. So you can't, Dale is saying it very well also. You can't separate religion and politics. Gandhi said, if you think you can separate the two, you don't understand either one. All right. So, Andy the Piper. I am so tired of the empty argument by Catholic Dems who say we cannot vote on a single issue. Yeah, that is an empty argument, isn't it? I mean, I always use this example, friends, and feel free to use it if you find it helpful. Suppose somebody came along, a candidate came along and said, I support terrorism. I think the terrorists have a right to do what they did. What would a voter's response be to that? Well, sir, ma'am, I disagree with you on terrorism, but what's your health care plan? Tell me about your education plan. We can put terrorism aside. We don't have to worry about that. We know that that's not the only issue. Not even terrorism is the only issue. There's no issue that's the only issue. But there are certain issues which are disqualifying issues. In other words, if a candidate came forward and said, I support terrorism, I support slavery, I support taking the right to vote away from women. Well, you wouldn't even consider voting for them. You're not saying it's the only issue. You're saying that because so many of them, in fact, we have an entire party, the Democrat Party, that's saying that the killing of these babies is okay. We're saying that, hey, that disqualifies them. That's it. You can't put somebody in office that does that. Okay. It is an empty argument, totally empty argument when they say, oh, well, you're just... Yeah. By the way, I don't care what issue you take. President Trump and the Republicans are doing a better job on it than the Democrats. Right across the board. We go right up and down the line. All the issues. All the issues. Julie is asking an interesting question. How can a priest be disciplined for speaking out and a cardinal get away with endorsing Biden? Tell you the truth, they're self-serving. That's what's happening here. Some of these bishops and cardinals, and I too have been, threatened and punished for speaking out like this for years. I've been doing it for years. I'm not going to stop. And they've threatened and punished me too. But you know what? Hey, listen, you got to stand up for what's right. And, they think they're in a separate camp. They think they can do what they want is what it basically boils down to. I have seen this in a million different ways. They think they can do whatever they want. When they try to discipline us, they'll say, oh, well, this is not appropriate for the church. They'll put it all in all these theological and canonical terms. They'll start invoking canon law, and they'll start saying, oh, it's not appropriate for the church to be taking a position in politics because we are bearing witness to the kingdom of God. Well, first of all, that's exactly why we're speaking out on politics, because we're bearing witness to the kingdom of God. The Democrats want to shut us down as a church, so some of these bishops and cardinals don't seem to understand. They're not going to be able to do the work of the church if we let the Democrats get into power. But the point is that that's all well and good for them to say when it comes to priests, but then when they want to say what they want to say, they say, well, we're different because we're bishops, because we're cardinals. It's like, come on, give me a break. Michael is saying, Father, when are you back on RSBN? Monday night, day after tomorrow. We'll be right over here in Sanford, Florida. RSBN, I will be on with them covering the President's Rally this Monday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be epic. It's going to be very big because we've got the President coming back now out of his battle with COVID and victorious and back, and he's going to attract from a tremendous crowd. MP, PM, how you doing tonight? Why are you then a priest? Because God called me to be a priest. Because I'm preaching the gospel. That's my work. Preaching the gospel. As Jesus said, teach the nations to carry out everything I have commanded you. Now, we are in the church, you look at the different priests, there are a lot of priests in the church, and they have various different specialized ministries. Some serve in hospitals, some serve in prisons, some are building mission houses for the poor in other parts of the world, some teach youth in schools, many are serving in parishes. I did that myself for a number of years, and now I have a specialized ministry focused on ending abortion. It's called Priests for Life, and Alveda King works with us full time, and our job is teaching people the teaching of the gospel about abortion and working to do what Jesus does for all the poor and the vulnerable, try to protect them. And we help the moms who think they have to have an abortion find alternatives. We have those that are suffering from the after effects of abortion find healing in Jesus Christ. And we also teach people to vote pro-life. Now, some people like Jorge think call it political propaganda. Well, you see, what's the difference between propaganda and teaching? Are we supposed to teach the demands of the gospel or not? Are we supposed to teach what is the will of God in the various circumstances of our lives or not? And if yes, if we are, then it goes back to the question I already asked before. Does that mean that in the arena of politics, there's no such thing as right and wrong? So that, let's switch back over to the board here. Jorge, let me ask you specifically because, you could answer us. We'll all be interested in your answer. Is this, if a politician says that this is okay to do, which is exactly what the Democrats say, this is okay to do. Take a look at it. And then take a look at me. Are we as priests, are we as the church, supposed to say anything to them, those politicians, when they say that this is okay? Are we supposed to say anything to the voters who elect people that go ahead and continue to authorize this? We're not making this up. This is not propaganda. This is murder that's going on. And if you support the Democrats, Jorge and all the rest who are in favor of the Democrats, you are supporting this. And I, as a priest, I'm not talking to you as a politician. I'm talking to you as a priest. This is morally wrong. And it's morally wrong to support it. It's morally wrong to vote for it. It's as simple as that. You want to call it propaganda? Go right ahead. But don't think that's going to stop us from talking about it. What I want to show you now, friends, is a website where you will find helpful information on how to know where the candidates stand on the issues. Now, I've already told you how to find out where they stand on the abortion issue because the Democrats are for it and the Republicans are against it. It's as simple as that. But let me show you now somewhere you can go where we look in more detail. Let's go to Ballotpedia. This is an excellent resource. Are some of you familiar with Ballotpedia? Just go to ballotpedia.org. This is a fantastic website, and let me just tell you about it in a nutshell, and then we are going to use an example. Ballotpedia allows you to look at your ballot before you fill out your ballot. Now, if you're going to go vote in person, look, we've all had the experience. I've had it too many times myself, where you go in on election day into the voting booth, you pull that curtain or you stand there in private and you look at the ballot and then you're seeing it for the first time. And you see a bunch of names who are perfect strangers. You see a bunch of names that are asking for your vote, and you don't know what they stand for, what their positions are. Now, of course, if you see one is Republican, one is Democrat, well, you pretty much know what their positions are. Republicans, you're going to defend life, you're going to defend religious freedom, you want less government regulation, less taxes, you want strong borders, a strong military, fair trade deals, prosperous economy, and so forth. Democrat, you want open borders, you want socialism, you're not supportive of the police, you want to kill more babies, you want to suppress religious freedom, and that's your Democrat platform. You want to raise taxes, destroy the economy. After all, what do we need an economy for? This is the Democrat way of thinking. And but you look at the ballot and you'd like to know a little more specifically about these different candidates. Ballotpedia is going to let you see your ballot before you're there in the voting booth or before you fill it out if you get it in the mail or you request it in the mail. We should be doing our homework in advance and not looking at it the first time when we're about to cast our vote. Because again, this is informed consent. right? It's like informed consent in the medical arena. Before you have a procedure done, the doctor's going to tell you, the risks, the benefits, exactly what's going to happen, etc. Informed consent. Okay, we have to have informed consent when we vote. We have to do our homework. And it's not necessarily that it takes a whole lot of time, but, is it asking too much for us to set aside a half hour or an hour of our time anywhere between now and Election Day to look at our ballot? That's what Ballotpedia lets us do. And you know what happens? Again, we've all experienced it. You go into the voting booth, you look at the ballot, and it's not just the names of, Trump and Biden or whoever's running for Congress or any other positions, but you also end up seeing on there various ballot initiatives. Should the state of Florida implement this amendment to do this, that, or the other thing? And if you're reading it at that moment for the very first time, and it's these long run-on sentences that take up a whole page of text, how can you adequately decide what the best thing is for you, for your family, for your children, for your community, for your state? On this particular issue, there's a reason it's there on the ballot. It's a question that the government needs the input of the citizens on this particular question. So, this is something that we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our families, we owe it to our communities to look at these things in advance. Learn what they are so that when we go to fill that ballot out, we know what we're saying yes to, we know what we're saying no to. Ballotpedia, ballotpedia.org, and you see the page here. Look up, when you go there, it says look up your ballot. Here's what they ask you to do. Now let's look at the page here in front of us. It asks for your address, city, and state. So I filled in an address. You see it there, and Titusville, Florida, which is where I live. That's not my address, but it's an address here in Titusville. And then you click the orange button that says View My Ballot. Let's click it and see what happens. Okay, so now another page comes up, and right now there's only one election showing. But if we were to have done this a few months ago, before the primary, it would have shown us what was going to be on the ballot on primary election day, and then what was going to be on the ballot on the general election day. Now the only thing we have in front of us is the general election day. So now you would click then on how to vote in Florida. Okay, now they're not telling you how to vote, they're telling you what's on the ballot so you can make your choice. So let's click that. And then let's go down. Okay, so it gives you some basic guidance. And then it says continue to my ballot. So let's continue to the ballot. And let's see. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, so now when I go into that voting booth, or if I ask for my ballot by mail, look at the different ballot measures. Ballot measures for Florida: Amendment 4, Amendment 1, Amendment 3, Amendment 2, Amendment 5, Amendment 6. There are 6 amendments there that the state is asking me as a citizen, as a resident, yes or no. Well, I have to study what those things are. I don't know what those things are. Now, what if I want to learn more about it from Ballotpedia? Before I have to say yes or no, let's take the first one there, Florida Amendment 4, I'm going to click on it. I want to learn what it is before I have to say yes or no to it. And so Ballotpedia now, it's giving you a page that explains Amendment 4. And if any of your states, by the way, brothers and sisters, have a ballot initiative, this is the tool for you to use to find out what it says. Let's do our homework in advance. Look at it. It explains what would Amendment 4 change. It goes down. It asks various questions. Who is behind the campaigns? Let's keep going down. It answers all these questions. This is really great. Okay, so let's hit the back. Let's go out of this page and back to the previous one. And it shows you the information then on all the ballot measures. Now, your state might not have a ballot measure here in election 2020. Ballotpedia will tell you whether it does or not. Then we go into the candidates. So now, this is surprising, isn't it? President of the United States, you don't just see Trump and Biden there. There's a whole bunch of others. So, I mean, these obviously are way, way lesser known people, but the fact of the matter is in every presidential election, you got multiple people from multiple different parties. They're all much smaller than the Republican or Democrat Party. But there they are. There's a lot of different choices. Let's go down further. Now, there's no U.S. Senate race this time around in Florida. So let's go all the way down to Congress. The House, there is, of course, in every place where you are in the United States, is going to be a House race, and ours is District 8. Now, hold on. Let's go to Congress where it says the House race. Go up a little bit. U.S. House, Florida. So Bill Posey is our current representative here in this part of Florida. He is pro-life. He's Republican. And then you see the Democrat opponent there. You see then other names that are going to be on the ballot. So this gives you an opportunity then to learn about who these people are. In fact, let's see if there's an arrow there. Let's see if it's going to give us information about Bill Posey. If we click on that arrow, and you see this is a great way then to inform yourselves about. Oh, look, there indeed, it gives you lots of information about him. His biography, let's scroll down, see what it says. Committees that he served on, keep going down. All the history, keep going all the way down. Key votes. How did he vote on various issues, okay? And this is very helpful for you to decide if you want to vote for this person or not. Okay, so that's Ballotpedia, my friends, and really I want to encourage you to use it. Now, where can you find other ways of informing yourselves about the candidates in this election? I want to show you another simple website that we've set up, which is votinginfo.org. Now, in the address bar of the page that's appearing right now, you will see the address priestforlife.org/candidates. But votinginfo.org will get you to the same place. That's a simpler address, easier to spell, easier to remember, shorter, votinginfo.org. And look what it says, know where the candidates stand. What I have done on this page is I have presented a bunch of links to various voter guides. And as different organizations finalize their voting guides in the coming days and weeks, we'll be putting more of them up here. The very first link you will see there, and we'll go into this in more detail on another day, is ivoterguide.com. Just highlight that, you'll see it there. ivoterguide.com is another treasure chest of information about the candidates. Not only will you know about their positions, you'll know about who endorsed them, whom did they endorse, who contributed to them. I mean, major organizations. You see if Planned Parenthood contributed to them. That's the kind of person you don't want to elect. Or if they contributed to Planned Parenthood, and so forth. So iVoter Guide, great online source of information. Then you will see voter guides from various friends and groups and organizations. If you scroll down further, I want to point out to you that we also have there what you should, go up one paragraph, go up, what you should look at a candidate's voting record. Okay, now you see the paragraph that starts with those words. You should also look at a candidate's voting record. This is extremely easy with members of Congress, as you can simply contact any one of a number of national organizations that track votes as part of their regular activity. This will be able to inform you how your congressman and senator voted on the bills that have come before them. You can often obtain similar information about state candidates from pro-life organizations within your state. Now, I'm going to show you the next two links, brothers and sisters. And let me explain the difference. The first one is the overall voting records of your member of Congress. Okay, every one of us has 2 U.S. senators, and we have 1 representative in the House of Representatives, 2 in the U.S. Senate. Okay, how did they vote? If they're already in office and they're asking us now to let them stay in office, what we should inform ourselves of is how did they vote on various votes that were taken in the House of Representatives or various votes that were taken in the Senate. Well, the link that you see there shows you the whole set of information. Let's click on that link right there that says congress.gov/roll call votes. Now, this requires a little bit of explaining. Let's look at the House of Representatives. The 116th Congress, that's the one currently in session, and that will conclude at the end of this year. The new Congress will get inaugurated right after the new year, January the 3rd or so. The 116th Congress, now concluding, has a first session and a second session. Let's, of course, they're in their second session now. Let's go, click on second session, and basically what you're going to see there is then a list of all the different votes that they took. Now, this is only a few because the links on the bottom there go through the other ones. You see it's actually up to 218. We're not looking here now at exactly what the resolution was, but just to show you how this works, you can see what the issue is. But if you click on the left-hand side up on the number 218, which is a hyperlink right there, let's click on that. Then you are going to see, in regard to what this vote was, it was just taken a week ago, you see the yeas and the nays, the yeses and the nos, in other words. Some of them also vote present, or you see the four columns, the yeas, that shows you how many Democrats voted yes, 225, how many Republicans voted yes, 146. All right, so this was not a party line vote. This was pretty unanimous here. But some vote present and some were not voting. Maybe they were sick or they had to travel for family reasons or whatever. But then if you scroll down, you see the names of the yeas, 371. The ones in italics are the Democrats. The ones in, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. The ones in, scroll down. Keep going. Okay, let's see. All right, so you got, so this one had a lot of yes votes, and they're distinguished there by party. The italics being the Republicans, and the ones in straight case are the Democrats. Nays, 18 voted no, and you see the names there, so you can tell who your you can tell how your member of Congress voted. That's the point here. Okay, so let's go back. And let's go to the second link. So you could look up any bill that was, you see all the bills that were voted on, how your particular representative voted. You could do the same for the Senate. The next link there is from National Right to Life. Now, what we're going to show you here is this. Suppose you just wanted to see how they voted on the pro-life issues, the pro-life bills. In every Congress, there are some bills that come up that have to do with pro-life. And various organizations give a score to the members of Congress as to how consistently they voted in a pro-life way. Now, obviously, National Right to Life is interested in seeing members of Congress vote in a pro-life way. Planned Parenthood is interested in seeing them vote in a pro-abortion way. So both of these organizations on opposite ends of the abortion debate track, or they keep score, okay, of how the members of Congress vote. And they publish the scorecard. That's what this link is. They publish the scorecard. So let's click there where it says Voter Voice, NRLC, that's National Right to Life, scorecard. Click there. Now, there weren't a lot of votes on abortion-related issues in this Congress, but you see there several of them. And the way this works is, what they're showing you there are the names of the, these are senators. You see, you can choose there between U.S. Senate and U.S. House. You see the blue button right in the middle there at the top. It says U.S. Senate. That's what we're looking on now. So when you look at the names there, it's the names of the senators in alphabetical order by their last name. Now, look at Lamar Alexander, the first name there, and you see the score. He has 100% score from National Right to Life. Now, 100% score from National Right to Life means he voted pro-life every time. He's a Republican. Tammy Baldwin is a Democrat. She has a 0 score, most of the Democrats do, because they vote pro-abortion all the time. Now, the specific bill and how people voted, S311, you can see right there before we even click on it that Lamar Alexander voted in favor of that bill. We'll show you in a second what that bill was. And Tammy Baldwin, as the little red X there, says she voted against it. But what is it? So to see what it is, you click on S311. And lo and behold, you have there the title and a description of the bill and the senators who voted for or against it. This was a very controversial bill. The Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. It should not be controversial at all. And it was not controversial for the Republicans, because what this bill says is, you know what? If during an abortion the baby doesn't die and it ends up being born alive and is outside the body of the mother, should the baby in that situation be protected and be given some medical care? Simple question. This shows how the senators voted. So if you look down where it says votes, you see 453, and then you scroll down, you see the names of the senators who voted for it, again, in alphabetical order. Against, 44, and you scroll down and you see those names in alphabetical order, and then other, the ones that, voted either present or didn't vote. Okay, so, friends, again, votinginfo.org. There's a lot more information on there. We don't have time to go through it right now. But here's what I want to do. We can go off the website now. I want to implore you, brothers and sisters, we and our staff and many other people have spent a lot of time and looking at putting this information together. And we put it together for you. And we want to have you use this for yourselves. We want to have you use this for others. This is a way for us to do our homework. Votinginfo.org is the website we were just looking at, votinginfo.org. And if you read through that whole thing, you'll get a lot of other guidance, a lot of other links, a lot of other sources. As Grace is saying, talk about being informed. There is no excuse with these sites. That's right. There's no excuse to say, oh, I didn't know that that's where this party stands. I didn't know that that's where this candidate stood or how they voted in the past. You don't want buyer's remorse. You don't want buyer's remorse. You elect somebody and then you see them voting in a way completely contrary to your convictions when they're supposed to be representing you, right? I hope this is helpful. Could you please pass it along to other voters? We have got to mobilize, educate, help our friends and relatives and fellow believers to know these things. Mary, I want to comment on that. That is great. As you say, I think priests should say vote pro-life in their homilies. They should. They should. That's the moral guidance that they should be giving to their people. A couple of other questions, and then I'll give you a blessing and say goodnight. Anna May is saying, Father Frank, do they teach about abortion in Catholic schools or in the religious teaching for children? Well, it all depends. Some religious education programs do not. Even though it's a core teaching of the church, some do not, others do. It's a mixed bag. It's supposed to be there. If you look at, in other words, if you say, hey, I'm going to, the purpose of this course or the purpose of this school is to teach the Catholic faith, well then, it needs to be in there because it's part of the Catholic faith. But then, of course, that depends on how good that school is and how faithful they're going to be to what is the Catholic faith. And that's the way things go. Jerry is saying, why does the Catholic Church stand up for life? why does or why doesn't, I think you're trying to say why doesn't, stand up. We have to fight. We need more of the fighting spirit of President Trump, to tell you the truth. He was on a conference call with some bishops, and they were talking about Catholic education, actually. And he said to them at one point, he says, you guys have to fight harder for what you believe. He teaches us how to fight. He says that to us priests too. He says, we want to hear what you have to say. We don't want you to feel intimidated or muzzled by the government and so forth. We are proud to stand with the president. Again, every once in a while, you'll see you have people saying to you, we have people saying to us on the comments here, oh, well, shame on you for supporting the president. He lies. No, those who criticize him lie. Look at the lies that were told the other night in that vice presidential debate by, in fact, I have a, go to prolifevote.com. That's our overall voting website. And you'll see I put a document up there in the section that says, what's the latest? 24 different lies that Kamala Harris told during the presidential debate. See, the president is the opposite. He urges honesty. Look what he's doing with, are you familiar with somebody was saying before, oh, well, he lies. Really? Price transparency. Tell me what that was all about. The president instituted price transparency. Now, it's going to kick in January. So, Biden, if he were to get elected, he would claim credit for that. Oh, you see, I got in office and all of a sudden, you know better about your prices. There's no surprise about your prices. Listen, the fact of the matter is that the president urges transparency with the health insurance industry, the medical profession. He's against surprise medical billing, lies that we may be told, or just lack of information that we have a right to have in advance of agreeing to pay for a certain service. He's for transparency. How about VA accountability? How about the 9,000 people that were working in the VA and they weren't doing an honest job? Obama and Biden, did they get them out of there? No, they didn't. Who got them out of there? 9,000 of them. President Trump got them out of there. VA accountability. And that is something now that has brought the VA up to a 91% approval rating. How about the media? You want to talk about lies? See, this is what makes me laugh about those who very, very deceptively say, they lie themselves when they say the president lies. The media lies. They're fake news. They lie over and over and over again. This is the president. You tell me what other president has spoken out against the lying media like this one has. Which other president has spoken out against the lying media like this one has? We've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. So, this is a man who stands up for truth. He stands up for fairness. He stands up for fairness. Trade deals that put the United States at a disadvantage, he says, no way, we're not going to get involved in that. He pulls out of the trade deals that get the America at a disadvantage, take our jobs, take our companies, take our factories. Biden was great on this. Oh, this is, I'm looking for a list of his accomplishments. President Trump's accomplishments. You look at promiseskept.com and you got plenty of them there. Biden's list should be 10 times longer. Should be, because he was in office 10 times longer. But he's got, he's got accomplishments in getting China into the World Trade Organization so that millions of jobs, leave America. Or NAFTA, or these horrible deals that put us at a disadvantage and make us lose our companies and our factories and our jobs. Biden was all for that garbage. And President Trump put a stop to that. Keep our jobs here, keep our companies here. And it doesn't mean we don't collaborate with and cooperate with other nations. We do. Look at the USMCA that the president successfully negotiated with Canada and Mexico that replaced NAFTA. Much better, much fairer to us. Look at the trade negotiations he did with China. Somebody was talking about Obama being the best. Boy, have you got a tough case to make. He was one of the worst. And Obama said, and those that were, looking at President Trump starting to campaign, you can't make any promises about getting into any trade negotiations with China. They were basically trying to tell him, this can't be done. Well, guess what, friends? He did it. And China, instead of stealing tens of billions of dollars from us like they were doing before, is now paying us tens of billions of dollars. Any of you opponents of President Trump that think that that's a bad idea, well, you know what? Let me tell you something. And so I'll finish with this thought, and then I'll give you a blessing. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. Those that oppose the president, you have got to learn how to argue these points because you are really bad at it. All you can do is stand there and say, oh, he lies. Oh, he did this bad thing 20 or 30 years ago. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. I never hear you folks talking about policy. Those of you that are opponents of the president, I never hear you talking about policy. Look at Ismael Martinez. He was the best. Enough said. Enough said. No, not enough said. That's the point. That's what political discourse is all about. It's not enough to, we don't say, oh, President Trump is the best. We don't say enough said. You know what we say? President Trump is the best. Because he got us out of NAFTA and he did the USMCA. Because he stopped tens of billions of dollars being stolen by China. And now he's got them paying us. He's the best. Because before he came along, NATO, now you see what was going on with NATO? They were relying on, they're supposed to come together to all cooperate for the mutual security of all these nations. And meanwhile, the United States was basically footing the bill. And these other countries paying a mere fraction of the overall cost for countries helping each other to defend one another. And President Trump goes in there and he says, hey, listen, guys, it's time for everybody to pay their fair share. And they started doing it. So no, it's not enough to just sit back and say, my candidate is the best, enough said. No, not enough said. You got to defend what you're saying. And we can go on and on. Again, go to promiseskept.com and look at the accomplishments of this extraordinary president. Extraordinary. How many peace accords did Biden in his 47 years in federal office manage to pull off? President Trump has never held political office. He comes in and all of a sudden we got a peace accord with Israel and Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates that nothing like this has happened in a quarter of a century. Now, come on, folks. We got to get beyond, he lies, or he says things that are not nice. Are we going to really argue on that shallow level? On that shallow level? This one was the best, that one was the best. You can't say, they're the best. You got to be able to back this up. And those who are in favor of Biden, honest to God, I haven't heard a single reason that any of these people give for voting for him. All they do is it's negative against Trump, negative against Trump. Give us a reason for voting for your guy. Okay, friends, thank you for being with me. You're a great encouragement to me. We're going to get this job done. Inform the voters. Show them how they can find out about the candidates. Let's get this job done. May the Lord bless each of you. May He protect you, bless your families, answer all your prayers, make you strong defenders of life and of America. And may He bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. If we want to join me for Mass in the morning, it'll be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on our channels. Not on Alvita's channel, but on our other channels. Go to endabortion.tv and you'll see the different channels. God bless you all. We'll talk to you soon.
Hello, I'm Evangelist Alvita King. Day by day, my work with Priest for Life and Father Frank Pavone provides me with many opportunities to speak up for the unborn, whether on television and radio or in conferences with pastors or with government leaders. In order to accomplish all this work, we rely on the donations of individuals like you who believe in this cause and want to help us save lives. May I ask you to support us generously? Go today to prolifegift.org and give as generous a gift as you can. I appreciate it personally and will pray for you each day.
I think we have Richard Lee, we have Jim Garlow, and we have Father Frank Pavone. Someplace they were in the audience, so I appreciate you. I appreciate you being.
Follow him, Father Frank Pavone, Fr. Frank Pavone, on Twitter. He is the National Director of Priests for Life. Please go to priestsforlife.org.